What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. The other day I was driving the Landcruiser around and I hear this horrible screeching noise. It sounded metal on metal, so I figure it's time to do the brakes. All the tools and parts that I use in this video will be listed in the description down below, so don't forget to check that out. For more do-it-yourself videos just like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get started.
For this job, you'll definitely need some brake pads. And these are some Posi Quiet ceramic pads that I got. They came with all the little clips and accessories. Pads itself seems pretty complete. And of course you're gonna need some brake rotors. Now I got these OEM ones. This is the part number right here. This is kind of like a personal preference, pet peeve type of thing. I'm sure the aftermarket ones work just as well, but I prefer OEM. Before we get started, it is very important to make sure that your e-brake is down. If your e-brake is up, you will not be able to remove the rear rotors. I'm doing this on my 1999 Toyota Landcruiser. However, the procedure is the same for a 98 all the way to 2007 Landcruiser or Lexus LX 470.
After you get the wheel off, you've got a 14 mil on the top and bottom of the caliper, and then you've got a 17 mil that holds the caliper bracket on. Both of these need to come off, so I'm gonna take both of these guys off. Plus I've got my wheel spacer that also needs to come off. You might or might not have this, doesn't really matter. As you can see, these pads are like done. There's like no thickness left. There's almost no material. This is actually the one that was not squeaking, the one that's squeaking on the other side. So I'll show you the other side once I take it out. But yeah, these are done. There's the brake bracket, and then the 17 mil bolt. Next, you want to turn the rotor where this hole is at the 6 o'clock position. So, right there. So you want this hole to be at the 6 o'clock position, right there, because what you're going to need is a flathead screwdriver, and there's a little, rear handbrake adjuster. You want to loosen that all the way before you remove the rotor. So when you get the screwdriver through that hole, you want to push the spring downward, like down. Let's see if I can do this. Now you're going to use these holes right here. Spray a little bit of PB or WD-40, and then you can use whatever bolts you want. I'm just going to reuse these little 14 mil bolts that I took off of the brakes. Slowly tighten it. This will basically push the rotor outwards. Next, we're going to clean off the brake shoes for the handbrake. These look like they're still in good shape, so they don't need to be replaced. I wanted to show you guys the adjuster. This is the thing that we had to spin downward like this so that the brake shoes would squeeze inward, hence pull the rotor out. So this is the guy you have to get through. This is the guy you have to get through the hole and spin downwards like this with a screwdriver. Next, we've got our brand new rotor from Toyota. And as you can see, the reason why I prefer OEM is they come painted on the sides, so it won't rust out, you know, and look kind of nasty when you put it to use. But before we put this guy in, we're gonna have to brake clean the surface a little bit. You can see from all the packing oil and just been sitting around, it's got all this stuff right here. So let's clean it up a little bit before we put it on. Any surfaces that get in contact with the brake pad and the brake shoe need to be kind of wiped down real quick. Before you put in this brake caliper bracket, you want to put the new tabs back on. Make sure the orientation is correct. Before you take the old ones out, make sure you take them out one by one and replace them, so that way you won't get mixed up. If your brake pad set did not come with these tabs, you can reuse the old ones. Just clean them up a little bit, because this is where the squeaking will usually come from if they're kind of rusted or messed up or whatever. Yeah, just make sure they're clean, they're straight, then you'll be fine. Now again, just like before, you want this hole back at the 6 o'clock position, so you can turn the little spring for the handbrake upwards this time, so the opposite of what it was before. The goal is to have it right where it starts to stop moving, and that's where you want to set it at. Okay, so that is obviously too tight. It won't turn at all. You know, loosen it a little bit. Right there. You've got some resistance, but it's not locked in place and it doesn't spin freely. So that's how you want to adjust the spring for the e-brake. Now remember, we only cleaned the back side of the rotor. Now it's time to clean the front side of the rotor. I want to show you guys, this is the old pad, remember? This is the new one. So as you can see, there is about, I don't know, a little over a centimeter worth of difference, maybe about half an inch of material on there that's not on here anymore but is on the new one. So yeah, that's probably why my brakes were squeaking like hell. Let's clean off the brake pads a little bit. Now let's put the new pads in place. So before you can put the caliper back onto the new pads, you'll have to push the brake piston back in. So what I usually do here is just grab one of the old pads, place it in front of the piston, and then grab a C-clamp and press it all the way back in. After you push the piston and the brake caliper back in, you've got your new pads on, the bracket is tight. Now you want to put the caliper back onto the bracket. 2 14mm bolts. And that's it. Now, gotta put the wheel spacer back on and do the same exact thing on the other side. So I just wanted to show you guys like the brake rotor on the inside. You see it's how it's all like scuffed up right here on the inside. That's where
the brake pad was wore out to where there was no more pad left, where it was just the backing, the metal. So it was a metal on metal contact. That's why you get the screeching sound, and that's what I experienced like you saw earlier in the video. But yeah, good thing we changed it out. These pads are done. They both sides wore pretty evenly, so if I didn't change it right now, the other side would have been about to make the same sound pretty soon. Another really important thing to do after you do brakes, front, rear, whatever, is always you want to start the car up. And before you set off, make sure you pump the brakes a couple times just to get that pedal feel. It might take a couple times, but you'll feel it and it'll get stiff again. So that way you know you're good.
And that's it. Now, whenever you change your pads, your rotors, or both at the same time, you have to remember to bed in your brakes. Proper bedding procedure, check your service manual. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, don't forget to like and subscribe.